So the country is receiving a special 6-month coronavirus grant, among other measures announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa last night. Government says the 500 billion rand support package is aimed at mitigating the negative social and economic impact of the virus. Now, Isobel Fry from the Study in Poverty and Inequality Institute joins us live via Skype for more reaction to this. Isobel, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. 50 billion rand will go towards relieving the plight of those who are most desperately affected by this virus. What do you reckon?
Good evening, Shahan, and thank you very much for the opportunity. The social relief measures announced by the President last night are very welcome. And in fact, we've been waiting for a number of days for these to be announced. We saw as a nation that the food parcels and the relief brought about by organizations such as your own and the Solidarity Fund, as well as the Department of Social Development, were useful, but they were not able to reach the breadth of the country and the people who needed them in order to mitigate the impact of COVID on people's livelihoods. As you know, we're a country that is characterized by deep levels of poverty and inequality. And we believe that the response by the presidency, as announced last night, is really a catalytic investment in turning people's lives around and also in the reconstruction of our society after COVID.
So let's break it down, because there are several sectors, or so to speak, that will benefit, and the child support grant beneficiaries will receive an extra 300 rand in May, and then from June to October they'll receive an additional 500 rand each. Now, how much does that actually help people that actually get child support grants from government?
It's a fundamental help, and it's the result of much civil society lobbying in recent weeks. The current child support grant before the top-up was 420 rand per child per month. And although that goes to 13 million poor children, the value of it fell far beneath the food poverty line of 561 rand per person per month. So the top-up will certainly take people above that starvation level. We know that child support grants are used to support many members of the family, and so that relief goes directly to people who do not have income because there's a means test attached to it. So I think it is very welcome. We also welcome the fact that the relief will continue for 6 months, because we believe that gives people certainty and enables them to make good decisions about how they use the grants. Shahan, I think it's important to understand that cash is a very good instrument for people in order to enable them to meet their needs, because it goes beyond just the food requirements, but also enables people to afford and buy basic sanitary. We believe that the secondary multiplier effects of cash into communities will also enable the informal traders and the spaza shops and those people whose livelihoods have been directly affected to be able to recover as well.
So let's talk about the 6-month period, though, because this will happen over a 6-month period. Government will review it thereafter. Is that long enough? Is that good enough?
I believe that 6 months is a start. It's half a year, and it will enable people to recover to an extent to enable them to start looking at other livelihood strategies. Many of us have been calling for an increase to social grants for many years, and in fact there's currently a long-standing task team in NEDLAC that's been looking at that. We would like to see this expanded. As you're aware, there are no grants for people between the ages of 18 and 59, and so the social relief of distress grant that was announced by the President last night goes in some way to mitigating that. We would like to see this extending. We know that this is dependent on revenues, but we have also identified to the President a number of ways in which we can start increasing the revenue take in different ways, such as a transactional tax. People have spoken about a wealth tax and a land tax. So we believe that the announcement last night was fundamentally important in terms of forging a new way to a social democracy that includes and embraces people who've possibly been left out of the democratic dividend.
So let's talk a bit more about this distress grant of 350 rand a month for 6 months. I mean, who exactly does this benefit? Because the President said you will qualify if you don't get any other social grants and if you're unemployed, or if you haven't actually benefited through a UIF payment. So these are people who are dry, basically have no income whatsoever. 350 rand, there are some who say it's simply not enough.
there are many sides to this coin. I think the expansion of eligibility to people who currently are not receiving grants is really to be welcomed. We believe the 350 Rand, as I said earlier, that's beneath the food poverty line. It should give people some ability to start meeting their basic needs. If people can pool that amount in a household as well, that goes towards being able to meet further needs. We do believe that this should be a foundation upon which we are able to build further and better relief as time goes on.
All right, thank you so much for your insights and your input. Appreciate it. Isobel Fry from the Study in Poverty and Inequality Institute.